Super Metroid Legacy, and today I am one of your commentators, Secret Agent Clunk. Metroid Nerd is the other commentator. He's currently having mic issues, so he'll be in shortly. Oh, there he is. So
hey, I got it fixed.
Cool. So, talk about the rules.
This is the Metroid Construction Olympics. We have 4 runners on the restream, but there are more runners who are running. And basically, this is a race between all of them of Super Metroid Legacy any percent. Points are awarded in 3 categories. You can earn up to 25 points per race or per event. You get 5 points for starting the race, 5 points for finishing the race, and then you get between 0 and 15 points based on how quickly you finish the run. There's a low time and a high time. So if you finish the round or if you finish the run in 1 hour or less, you get the maximum of 15 points. And if you finish it after 2.5 hours have passed, you get 0 points, and anywhere in between you get points scaled.
All right, and that just about sums it up. You mentioned the big if starting the race, you'll get 5 points, right? Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So, the race will just start up in just a bit, and we'll get this show on the road. So, this is going to be with the race is about to start. 2, 1, and they're off. And it'll take a second for the stream to update. There they go.
Doesn't look like they're all synced up exactly, but if they're pretty close,
it's as good as we're gonna get with the restream. I mean, we are literally streaming for other people's streams, so times may vary.
So, a bit of a history on this hack. Super Metroid Legacy was released back in 2005. I wasn't even in kindergarten when this hack came out. This is I guess that shows how young I am, but that also goes to show how old this hack is.
I don't even think I've played Legacy before. I'm gonna have to pick it up and play it later on.
It's a rather significant hack. Before Super Metroid redesign, this was really the first full hack of the game. Before this point, there were a lot of half hacks or some hacks of Metroid 1, but this was one of the first, if not the first, full hack of Super Metroid created.
That's pretty cool.
And
this is going to be one of our longer runs. As Metroid Nerd mentioned earlier, the low time was an hour?
An hour.
And then the high time is going to be 2.5 hours. Probably not going to be the longest one, but it's gonna be almost as long, if not longer, than or almost as long as Hyper Metroid. Hyper Metroid might be longer, but that's not going to be until I think September. It's one of the later runs.
September.
So as you see, our runners will be exiting Sarah soon. Looks like Dope's getting puffed.
Yeah.
We haven't had a lot of practices for group practice runs of Legacy this month. Not nearly as much as we did for Spooky Mission, but
a lot of people were busy. Like MSG was doing stuff.
Yeah. Azure, on the other hand, he broke the world record twice. Just before the race, he was doing a practice run, and he broke his own record.
Today.
Yeah.
Within less than an hour. It currently states that the world record is 54 minutes and 10 seconds, but he got a 53 something. A 53:24.
Yeah, I believe that was just this morning, too.
Yes. You'll notice this hack has kind of lackluster tiling, but that's partially just as a product of the fact that it's such an old hack. A lot of generally good hacking techniques and stuff hadn't quite been developed yet. And I mean, I don't know who made it. I don't think they're still around, but it's still good design-wise, but at least from what I've seen. But a lot of the tiling, it's very repetitive, very just bare bones.
A couple when I was doing a little bit of studying for the run, I did notice there were a lot of items that are just off to the side or hidden behind an invisible wall. Later on, you'll see high jump is just in a wall somewhere. Same with speed booster, so they're kind of just out there. So you really have to. This is heavily based on exploration for sure.
Like, watch where they get one of their first, some of their first missiles.
As you can see, they're
the second one.
Yeah, as you can see, they're like going under the door just to get to the room that leads to the missiles.
The first missile location seems pretty standard, but where they get the second one, it just kind of shows, not the best design. Like, not everything was fully planned out. Maybe it was like, oh, I'll just put an item here. I mean, the original game has 2 missiles that you get at the start, so I'll just find a place and I'll plop a missile here.
I mean, who knows what people were thinking in 2005? I don't even know what I was thinking in 2005 because I was 5 years old.
Yeah, I probably wasn't thinking very much in 2005 either. It seems the Asda and Andrew are already headed up to back up to Criteria, and Saffron is following close by. Dopey is a bit behind.
That might just be a stream, or he might actually legitimately be a bit behind.
I think he just started like 5 seconds later, so he is a little bit behind, but he's not significantly behind.
Right.
Like, it's still the amount of time you can make up, because there's a lot to the speedrun of this hack that can change how quickly you go through. It's a very ammo-intensive hack, so if you get bad drops from enemies, you'll lose time, especially on bosses, because you'll have to use the charge beam instead of being able to spam super missiles into their faces.
Correct. Also, from what I saw of Desi's run from long time ago, he didn't pick up that much ammo. Like, you entered Dragon's room with, like, I believe, like 4 supers. Not a lot.
Yeah. Some runners will take extra ammo as a safety strat because you don't necessarily have, because this is more for points and you want to be safe. You don't want to die because then you lose even more time. They're not necessarily going for a world record. So some will take safety strats.
As you can see now, our runners are fighting Bomb Trizo to be able to get out of the room with their bombs.
Is BT skip still a task-only trick? Or is that's typically how it is?
I believe so. It's a very, very short window that you can get out that door. And it takes like frame perfect maneuvering to do it. I think it's amazing how Asder has beat Desi's world record. Desi's world record was done through TAS, tool assisted speedrunning. So, and Asder did it through not tool assisted speedrunning. For those of you who don't know, tool assisted speedrunning is where you slow down the game. I don't know to what percent, but this basically allows you to do frame perfect tricks because the game slowed down, giving you more time to think. And
it depends on how the task is done. One type of task is called a theory task, where you just slow down to usually like 12% is the slowest you'll do, and you'll still manually put it, or you'll put in the inputs through your controller. It's like you're playing the game, but you have save states and you have the slowdown, so you can still feel. So look at where Astor picks up his second missile.
Oh jeez.
Kind of. Yep.
Just there.
Mm-hmm. But the full task oftentimes will be, especially for more complicated games, like if there's a speedrun of Paper Mario: The 1,000-Year Door, where the speedrunner will input using like their keyboard into a separate program the devices, every single button they want to have pressed on every single frame, so they can make things absolutely perfect. These
crazy.
take a long time to make. Is heading into Spore Spawn, an actually required boss this time around.
Right.
Yep. Fastest Asda has typically the fastest you can beat Spore Spawn is in 2 cycles. We'll see if Asda can do it.
Yeah, Spore Spawn's definitely a waiting game boss. You have to wait for him to go around and actually open. So his weak point isn't always revealed. Similar to Fantoon.
4. I think that was, yeah, Astor got 4 missiles on the first cycle for Spore Spawn, so that's looking pretty good.
So he sunk 2 missiles into his shell.
Ooh, Astor doesn't get 2 cycles. Looks like I'll have to get 3.
That's still not too bad. He still seems to be ahead of the other runners.
Yes.
He was 1 missile off.
Oof.
And there's that weird palette shift.
Yeah, another byproduct of, I guess, not having as many hacking resources is, at the time, palette editing, or maybe even the locations of where those palettes are, were less known, so you couldn't really edit them.
Yeah, we have a lot more documentation now than we used to. Like, as time goes on, people find better ways of doing things. They find locations of things in the game to be able to change them.
J-Boy has a full disassembly of all of the assembly code in the game on a website that you can just find, so that if you're doing any assembly hacking, then you can just use that. As to picking up Wave Beam,
Andrew catching up.
but still somewhat far behind.
Yeah, I believe now he's going to. Asder is now heading down to Norfair.
Yes. Now, I don't know how required the Wave Beam is in this hack, but it is certainly very useful for dealing with enemies, because it deals more damage than the Power Beam does, and you can shoot it through walls. You can take out enemies without having to aim at them as much, because it has a wider reach and it can pass through the walls. You can deal with enemies sooner. Asder's going through a pretty poor tiling room. It goes to show how old this hack is. Just spam the bubble tile.
Yeah. Can't go wrong with bubbles, though.
Yeah, but there's more variety of bubbles. Also, there's a lot of power bomb doors, but you won't see them going into many of them, and Asder's picking up super missiles.
First, and probably one of the only packs they'll ever pick up.
I think there are a few extra. I think in the end they have like 15 supers. Still not very much.
No. One of the trigger bosses they're gonna have to do is Kraid. Normally you can kill Kraid with 5 supers before he even gets to a second phase, but in this hack I believe they said that his health is tripled than the normal amount.
That doesn't mean you don't try and do Kraid quick kill, because you still do it so you can get as much damage early on in the fight as possible, because it's significantly easier to damage him in the first phase than it is during the second phase.
Correct.
So Binox, I think you can use the palette editor with the I'm a Genius thing. If you know where the palettes are in 2.5, you can edit them. It's just there's no specific editor. Just reading through chat.
Yeah. I actually don't really use the standard Smile too much. I usually use Smile RX that has a bunch of other things, and some of the things that converts for you. So that's pretty nice.
I've also recently switched to using Smile RF because my laptop died, so I moved all of my hacking stuff to the computer, and I was like, I might as well switch to RF too, because it has a lot more features and it's less prone to crashing. That's one of the main things with 2.5 is it crashes all the time.
As they're going through Green Brinstar, as you'll see soon up here, who's gonna go pick up, I believe, High Jump.
Jump just
on this room,
sitting randomly in a wall.
Right there, just like not even a hint for it, I don't think. And you don't. It's not like you see High Jump as you're going up the shaft either, so it's not like teasing to you that it's there. No, it's just sitting there in the dead end. It's like
It's not really required. Maybe the game traps you in there.
Maybe. Probably not though.
So you look for High Jump
player picking up Charge Beam.
These quote unquote trap a player where they would have to like IBJ or wall jump. Even with people like assuming your hackers or players know how to wall jump and IBJ, you can still indicate that you're supposed to have high jump in an area.
Oh, excuse me.
With your design. Asder's already making his way through Pink Brinstar. This wave beam is really coming in handy, taking out enemies before they even have a chance of damaging him.
Right. And once again, like getting to this point in Pink Brinstar, I had to like go through a weird hole in the wall that just barely even like hinted at. It's just there.
Another sign of the fact that this hack is old is that this hack doesn't really properly have some enemy palettes. So you'll notice when any of the runners hit enemies in certain rooms, they will flash weird colors, and that's because their palette values are bad. And also that can affect the enemy's drops. Instead of flashing white, sometimes they'll flash red or they'll flash purple, which is not correct.
I didn't even notice that.
That happens. It's a sign that either they didn't know how to fix it, or they just it's usually
didn't.
that they didn't know how to fix it, or they didn't know that they should, or didn't notice it.
Right. Man, Azur's just flying through this. Like the gap between him and Andrew is getting bigger and bigger.
Looks like Dopey's still furthest behind. Just gotten Wave Beam, making his way back through Redburn Star. And then Saffron is just gotten Charge Beam. So we have a pretty clear divide, first, second, third, and fourth place at this point. But still, anything could happen. One of the runners could die, which would be pretty bad for them.
Here's Speed Booster just up here, just sitting up here. As I mentioned earlier, not a lot of the runners did some practicing, or at least not group practice. So a lot of the runners will not have a sub-hour run, as there might be like probably one of the only ones to get a sub-hour run.
It's the only person on SRC speedrun.com with a sub-hour run.
So we might be in here for the long haul.
Yeah, you'll notice that some of the runners are picking up a lot of energy tanks. Typically, in an any % speedrun of Super Metroid, you only need 3 energy tanks. However, the route that at least Asder's using, and I think the other runners are using, skips Varia Suit, so you need 6 energy tanks in order to survive the Hyper Beam from Mother Brain.
Correct, and they won't be getting Gravity Suit until they kill Kraid, which should be coming up here shortly.
The Speed Booster, there might be a few points where it's required, but it's not. I didn't see very many places where the Speed Booster is required until much later in the hack, but they get it now because it's convenient, and also you'll notice that as there's using it to great effect to just move through rooms really quickly. Might be a few places it's required, but I'm not 100% sure. There's a lot of points where it's just like you can save a few seconds, or you can just run through a room and you can run through all the enemies, get through faster.
And another reason why you want extra energy is if you take enough damage and then you try to Shine Spark, which is where you crouch and then you jump and select the direction. That uses up energy, but like it'll stop the Shine Spark once you hit, I believe, 29 energy.
29 energy.
So you want to make sure you have enough energy to do your Shine Spark in the first place, and you also got to be able to prepare for afterwards. You're gonna be hurting for health with a whopping 29 energy.
And that's low enough that some enemies will kill you in one hit if you have that little energy. Yeah, speed is required for Torian, but it's not required for everything they do, but they still get it now, and it's really convenient to have. But it also plays into the drop management and the health management. If they get better drops from the enemies, they can do longer Shine Sparks, so they can be... it'll just make it easier for them to navigate with Shine Sparks, because there are points, especially if you're Shine Sparking up a really long vertical shaft, you don't want to run out of energy, because then you're just going to have to go up through the normal way, which is significantly slower. Yeah.
As you'll see here, as there's a Shrine Spark right there. I believe in Desi's run, he did what is essentially the Behemoth Spark in that room, where you Shine Spark diagonally up the rightmost wall, all the way up to the top.
The points were like that. Like in the Escape, there's a Shine Spark like that, where you Shine Spark diagonally up a really long vertical shaft. They save a lot of time.
They really do. Getting out to those dispersely placed platforms can be a bit of a pain sometimes.
Just jumping in general is kind of slow, and if you get hit by an enemy, then you're gonna have you might fall down, or at least you'll lose your vertical momentum, and it's just not a fun time. Asda takes a refill of the ship because there's another Shine Spark coming up, just to get across this room more quickly. It's not required, but it helps. And here he can do what's called a gravity jump, even without the gravity suit. Enter water. You take the same momentum if you go through a door transition, where you don't have water, and then you enter a room in water. Here, Asda's trying a green gate glitch.
And it looks like you ran out of
Ooh.
supers, so a reset. Green gate glitching is a pain, and it's hard to be consistent with them. Sometimes it's just luck and timing.
This is the
But
chance
basically-
for Andrew to catch up.
Basically, a green gate glitch. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're jumping into a gate, and there's just one pixel where the missile hitbox will hit the gate and actually open the gate, and it's very not really difficult to do, but it's difficult to do
Yes.
consistently.
Yes. It's very tedious. Now, I don't think the run is really dead. I mean, it's dead for doing world record, but it's not dead for getting first place. Asda very well could get first place. But with the gravity jump, when you enter a room with water, from a room without water, you keep the same amount of momentum. So you can, because of the changed water physics, you can you can gain incredible height in the water because you had so much speed, and you slow down much more slowly when you're going through water. Here, Andrew has a shot to catch up if he can get the first green gate glitch on the first try. He might be able to pull ahead of Asda.
No, you got it first try. There are some techniques that make it all really easy to get the gate glitch, but again, it's all about consistency, and it's hard to get good consistency. It definitely takes practice. I know I have quite the trouble trying to do a gate glitch.
Green gate glitches aren't the only gate glitches you can do. If you don't have wave beam, you can use a missile, a regular missile, or a super missile to glitch through a blue gate. This is used in Z Factor speedrunning in order to get to Red Brimstone really early. Before even going through Pink Brimstone, you can go straight from Criteria to Red Brimstone and get Barrier Suit really early.
Yeah. The direction of the gate definitely does matter. If it's a right-facing gate, it's a bit different. I believe you have to speed boost into it.
Which is impractical in most situations.
Yeah. So, really, it's only worth trying to gate glitch the leftward most facing gates. As they're seriously suffering here for time with having trouble with that green gate.
Andrew has already made his way through to power bombs, made his way through Meridia, suitless Meridia, but it's not that long of a segment, and already has power bombs. Where Saffron is also catching up to Asda. We'll see if Saffron can get the green gate glitch. Oh, Asda got it. Also caught up. While Dopey is still behind. Making its way back to Criteria.
Saffron getting it pretty quickly too. Looks like it might just be Asda having trouble today with that.
This is quite the great equalizer. Where
Sure.
I guess in some ways you can think of it as luck based, although it's not really luck, but it's really easy to mess it up a lot, and that allowed Andrew to pull ahead and Saffron to catch up to Asda.
Plus, again, the whole ammo, low ammo count comes in too. With only 5 supers, that's only 5 chances per reset. So then you got to go all the way back to the room.
Been pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say frame pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know if it's frame or pixel perfect, but it feels pretty close to it.
As you saw with Andrew and Saffron, it definitely is technique for sure. There are different ways to make it a bit more consistent, but it definitely takes practice and luck. A little bit of luck.
Don't go into one of these runs without ever having tried the green gate glitch before, because then you might be spending 10 minutes trying to figure it out if you have no idea what you're doing.
Right.
It's a very versatile glitch that can just completely bypass an intended, what a designer would intend to be a one-way path. Dopey messes up the shine smoke through the gauntlet. And opts not to just go through the room normally, perhaps because the acid might mess with his jumping near the end. I guess it is a pretty long room with rising acid.
Yeah,
But
it's not
he's
too
making his
long.
way to the gate.
Not as long as original Gauntlet.
Oh yeah, but at least that one doesn't have a time limit with the acid.
Right.
He's on the green gate glitch now.
Looks like he got it.
Nice.
Fourth try. That is gonna hurt him for ammo though, so hopefully he gets some ammo from some enemies. Andrew coming up on Kraid.
He's going to try to do a Kraid quick kill. However, it won't kill Kraid. It'll just be able to do probably about 4 super missiles worth of damage, which is about a third of Kraid's health.
Actually, you'll see him. I believe he'll probably try to start with some missiles or charge beam. Because it's good to get as much damage in as you can for before he gets to his second phase. It looks like Andrew just opted out of doing a quick kill strat.
Asda's probably going to go for it.
One of the nice things about having charge beam for the Kraid fight is if you hit Kraid with charge beam to open his mouth, it will actually freeze his claw for a couple seconds, so it leaves his mouth wide open for you to hit with some shots.
I did not know that.
Good strat if you're having trouble. Good way to keep Kraid's hand out of the way. As you can see, after a few seconds, it kind of just goes, and then like once he hits Kraid's face with the charge beam, it just kind of stays there.
This
However,
is where the ammo management really comes into play, because charge beam is significantly slower than using missiles.
For sure.
Still also opts out of the quick kill strategy.
And this is where you can see the charge beam can kind of screw you over. If you hit it just at the right time, you can kind of lock the claw in the wrong place, and then it's hard to shoot past. Andrew taking Kraid down.
Where's Dopey going? I've never seen this room before.
I have
Is
no
that the
idea.
path?
No, it's not. Looks
I
like he's
think
picking up an extra missile and energy tank.
I mean, that's save the strats. It'll cost time, but here, Andrew's picking up the gravity suit, not the Varia suit, because I believe in this hack, Fantoon is supposed to be the first boss. But they're kind of sequence breaking.
Right.
Speedruns do. Asda takes down Kraid, slowly closing the gap between him and Andrew.
Saffron going in.
Probably. See if Saffron tries a quick kill strat.
Now we've been studying Desi's run for learning the route for our commentating.
I studied Asda's route.
Oh, okay.
Be the same.
There is. I studied Desi's route, but I know there is a slightly modified route that Aster did to get a better New World record.
Notice
Looks like
one thing.
Saffron.
Polo
Go
Bear
ahead.
Bunny pointed out something important in the chat. One thing that Andrew's doing that Asda is not is he's doing Moonfall, where I don't fully understand how the glitch works, but it has to do with moonwalking. And you can fall off of a ledge and not have a speed cap when you're falling, so you can fall down vertical shaft significantly faster. In some ways faster than Shine Sparks, because it glitches up the graphics if you go fast enough.
Huh.
So
I had no idea
you'll
you could
see
do
that. Yeah, you'll see that in regular and vanilla speedrunning as well. They've recently implemented that once they discovered it. I think ED was one of the people who contributed to that being found, I think.
Saffron finishing up Kraid. And for those who don't know, moonwalking is a toggleable feature that you can toggle in the settings before you start your game, where basically you charge you hold the fire button, and then you move the opposite direction. Samus will start moonwalking backwards.
It's not very practical on its own, but you can use it for the glitch, which makes it useful. Otherwise, why would you? Why?
You can use it for strafing, so that you don't change directions when you don't want to, and you want to still move out of the way of getting hit.
I guess, but that I've
seen a
never
couple
used
runners do
it.
that.
I've never
I
used
personally
it.
don't use it, but I do see a couple runners now and again use it.
Through the boring bubble tiling room. finally being able to open some of these powerbomb doors.
I believe now they're going to be heading towards Gold Chorizo to pick up Screw Attack. I almost said Space Jump.
At least the route Asda's taking just completely skips Space Jump because you don't really need it.
Right.
They completely break the item order. They head into Lower Norfair, beat GT and get Screw Attack. Then they beat Ridley, and then it's just why not just go beat all the bosses because you can at this point, and then you just beat the game.
Picking up Spazer as another damage boost. That's going to help against Ridley.
Very, very helpful because it basically triples your damage output. It might be slightly off or slightly different, but in general, it triples your damage, and it's pretty valuable when you're fighting bosses when you run out of ammo.
Yeah, and I believe they will not be picking up Plasma in this run.
He might. I don't know. Because I don't know what route he's using.
I think Dopey's just trying to get through the game.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine. Not everyone. You don't have to beat fastest. I mean, that's why we give points for starting and finishing. Also, Andrew showing off another gravity jump, but this time with the gravity suit, where if you pause the game and you jump, you have the full momentum of the beginning of your jump with the gravity suit. But if you turn off the gravity suit, you still retain that momentum after unpausing, but with the decreased negative acceleration, I guess, that you get with the lava. So it lets you jump insanely high. Also, Asda is really quickly catching up to Andrew.
Oh yeah. A gravity jump, most commonly you will see people start from a crouch position. This is because as you're pausing the game, you still have a couple frames of where you can input button commands. And so as you're pausing the game, you want to jump just at the last, almost last frame. And then when you change over to gravity suit, you'll get the most height from your jump.
Andrew, Asda is getting hit by a few of the holtzes and falling a few seconds behind Andrew. Andrew's still barely holding on to a lead.
Ooh, as they're getting that, I don't remember what that technique's called, but it's almost like a blue suit. Where basically you run off a ledge going just the right speed, where when you fall off the ledge and you hold down, you will keep your speed boost and you'll be able to break any blocks. But you have no horizontal momentum.
It's a pretty niche trick. It's a trick that's hard to find places to use, but it's very useful for those places. Andrew's also struggling for health, and Asda's also kind of running low, which makes these energy tanks all the more important that they grab them. Because if Andrew had not grabbed the most recent energy tank, he would be dead, and he almost is dead. This is very close, very tight.
Plus, when you pick up an energy tank, it's basically a free refill.
Yes, but that's only when you pick up the energy tank.
Right.
Asda's barely pulling ahead of Andrew.
Taking out these ninja pirates.
Yeah. Asda's also in better condition on health and ammo. He has more super missiles going into the ninja pirate room. But the ninja pirates are good for refilling because they drop multiple pickups. Also, here's an interesting thing I found about the ninja pirates, is that the arm things that they throw are actually boomerangs. But you just can't see that normally because they hit the ground before they have a chance to revolve back. But if you put them on an upper ledge, you can throw them and see how they curve back underneath where the pirate threw them.
Huh, never realized that. Azure and Andrew fighting Gold Chorizo. Almost pretty much neck and neck at this point.
This fight will also be a determining factor. Andrew's moving just to the point where he's right next to Gold Chorizo but won't get hit.
This is another common Super Metroid strat. Some hacks, some of the newer hacks actually fix it so you can't do this glitch, but if you stand just the right spot, Gold Chorizo literally can't hit you. You can fire super missiles at him, you can sit there with Charge Beam, and basically there's nothing he can really do to hurt you. Unless you move.
Andrew's being a little bit safer with it and just opting to use the Charge Beam, where Asda's farming the Gold Chorizo's egg pickup so he can fire supers, which deal damage more quickly.
And as you can see, it seems to have paid off. You can pick up all those delicious drops.
Saffron's getting through the acid run. Still a bit behind, but and going back for some pickups because having good health is necessary. Andrew also picking up some super missile drops, just because having full supers is very useful in case you need to use them against enemies. And it also, if you have full super missiles, you will get other drops from enemies that would have given you super missiles.
As you can see, Asder opted to loiter around those the Rippers a little bit to get the super missiles. Those guys, their priority drop are super missiles, so they're more likely to drop supers than anything else. If you don't have
with Andrew,
full...
because Andrew had full super missiles when he beat the Rippers, they were giving full health instead of super missiles. Another Ninja Pirate room. Much more tight corridors, so it's harder to avoid them, although the Ninja Pirates just kind of jump through the ceiling.
Going into Ridley now.
This is an interesting Ridley room with the varied heights of the platform. And this will be another kind of equalizing point, depending on how Asda and Andrew do on the Ridley fight. That will put them out in different spots. If Asda has a bad fight with Ridley, then he'll be put behind Andrew. But if Asda has a good fight, then he'll just cement his lead even more.
I do have to say, I do enjoy it when people change up Ridley's room a bit, so it's not just a platform in Ridley. I do enjoy it when they change up a bit. A good example of this is Metroid Super Zero Mission, where you fight Ridley actually fairly early on, and you just spikes in his room on the walls, and you gotta watch out, all while doing health management.
My hack, I had bomb blocks on the platform. The room looks mostly the same, but if you screw attack and you hit the ground, you fall into the acid. It's kind of mean, but it's also kind of fun. And it leads to an interesting exploit where if you get Ridley to move into the bomb blocks while they respawn, you can trap him and just wail on him without him being able to do anything.
Coming up here, you'll see Asder use a trick to get Ridley to die a little bit faster. Once Ridley gets down to a certain health, he will try to grab you, and if you get grabbed by him, he just dies. This is faster than just trying to take him down to 0 health, where he will just die on his own. But a good sign to tell if he's at this point is he will start trying to grab you like constantly.
That's how Ridley's supposed to die normally. It's supposed to be like the super dramatic, he grabs onto you and then he just starts exploding. But there is a point where you deal more damage where he'll just explode on his own.
Right.
So Jiffy's chiming in that he enjoys the way he did Ridley, because in Jiffy's hack, Super Metroid Nature, you get the screw attack through the boss door, but then you start the whole sequence where there's rising acid in a bunch of rooms. And then when you get into Ridley's room, the acid just keeps rising while you're fighting Ridley. So the longer you take, the higher up the acid goes.
As a slight correction saved by TAU, Ridley doesn't die right away at 0 health. He takes a little while. Dopefish somehow went and found Crocomire.
I guess he is taking a very different route. Saffron just beat Gold Chorizo and got the screw attack. Asda is pulled ahead of Andrew also. A pretty significant lead after beating Ridley more quickly, after getting to Ridley more quickly. It'll be hard for Andrew to pull ahead. Are there other Green Gate glitches that could potentially be problematic?
I think there's one coming up in Meridia. I might be wrong about that.
It is possible that we might be going for an E-tank.
I had a pretty short time notice for catching up on the route. I was originally just gonna stay out of this month's race, but we kind of ran out of commentators, so I volunteered like last minute to help out.
Volunteered like last week. They were like, "Hey, we need commentators?" I'm like, "I'll try." They're like, "Do you know the route?" I'm I'm like, no,
Nope.
but I can learn.
So apologies if we're not talking about the route as much, but we are trying to keep you all entertained. So basically, just treating this like a normal Super Metroid run, talking about strats and just commentating on what we see, really. Oh, that's all commentating really is.
Fun opted to refill on the refill bugs to get some extra super missiles to be able to damage Ridley faster. Now, I know from experience that Saffron is an absolutely masterful fighter of Ridley without taking much damage, at least in the vanilla game. And so that might be slightly altered by the platform. As you can see, he's taking damage. But one thing is, Saffron got second place in the Super Metroid Arcade tournament.
Nice. Quick correction on what we said
that.
earlier about the gates. There's only one gate glitch, so there's no more other gate glitches these runners should have to do.
So, Astor might be able to hold his lead.
I think Dopey doesn't even know where to go anymore.
Maybe he's just following a completely different route, because he seems to have an idea of what he's doing. He's just going a different way, so it seems like he's not doing what he's supposed to, but maybe he's just taking the route he's used to. Getting to be commentators, Jiffy, I think you're exaggerating. One thing you'll notice about Phantoon, Astor's getting into Phantoon, is he's starting at a later palette. And this is how I deduced that Phantoon was supposed to be the first boss, is because he starts with less health. But because he starts with less health, he'll start at a later palette because it's based on the absolute value of his health. Like, if his health is at half of what it originally is, then he'll be at a different color. You can probably change this with hacking tools, like Hex ASM stuff, but at the time they had no idea. So
right.
Taking considerable damage at Ridley. Ooh.
Phantoon's red color is a good indicator of when you can smack him with that last super missile without having to worry about him going into his aggro phase, where he'll sit at the top middle of the room and just start blasting you with his flames.
Saffron's barely holding on to Ridley. I think the different room is being quite detrimental to his ability to fight, because Saffron has had situations where he was thrown during the tournament against... Ooh! Saffron dies to Ridley. But
Saffron, yeah, that's unfortunate.
I think he safety saved, though. Yeah, it looks like he did. But in vanilla, he was thrown against Ridley with like Various Suit and Ice Beam, and he could still win, even with like 2 or 3 energy tanks. But I think the different room and probably different circumstances and the fact that he's in a race making it more challenging.
Oh, there's one of the diagonal sparks we were talking about.
I guess part of what made Saffron so good at fighting Ridley is that he's been doing the Shack Tool coffee break, where he's playing through every single unrated hack on Metroid Construction. And that involves playing a lot of really, really bad half hacks.
Yeah.
And they'll put you in whatever situation they want to put you against all the bosses. I've tried playing some of those hacks, and some of them are okay, and then some of them are just absolutely atrocious.
Yeah. That previous room that Astor was in, you'll probably notice how the enemies are actually kind of overlaid above the water. Layering is kind of difficult sometimes if you don't know what you're doing. And again, back from 06, not everything was known, so layering was probably not one of the higher priority items.
Those who are curious, there's 4 palette values that you can choose from to give to an enemy that actually work, which is 1, 2, 3, and 7. Bernard said you have to put palette as 7. Palette 7 is the only one that actually makes the enemies appear behind the water, and you can only have one enemy in a room have that palette. Otherwise you'll have 2 enemies with the same palette, and unless they're meant to be that way, then
It can really screw
it
things
doesn't
up.
work. You can do palette mixing, but you have to be careful because one, the pallets have to actually fit, otherwise the enemies are going to look terrible. And I guess that's the main reason, but I guess you could probably also glitch up other pallets if you try that, and you can't have too many enemies in a room also.
I think a couple of our contest hacks say otherwise.
Yeah, but
Lag is not a feature.
I've had some situations with major lag in my hack that I'm working on where I just put so many enemies in the room that the room gets so laggy. Like I have a room where you walk in and there's like 3 dragons spitting out of the acid at you, and then there's several key hunters that are set to be universally loaded, so they're moving around and it's very laggy.
Geez.
I might change that depending on what my beta testers think of it.
As they're coming up on Dragon.
Opie is almost caught up to Saffron because of Saffron's death.
Yeah.
But he's pulling ahead still. The rather
As
interesting...
they're opting out to not destroy the turrets.
Giving ammo, I presume.
Yeah, since you don't have a grapple, and there's no point in trying to grapple kill Dragon. Plus, there's plenty of room in this room where if you get gunked, you can do a very short charge. And blue suit on Dragon. Although the problem with that is if you're not careful, you can overkill Dragon and get perma-stuck.
Also, Astor has Screw Attack, which makes it a lot easier to dodge or just completely ignore all of the projectiles. And all the ammo is coming in handy because it's hard to hit Dragon multiple times with the charge beam in the same cycle. Whereas if you're using missiles and super missiles, you can fire them in quick succession during the parts where he's vulnerable. Otherwise, you have to take extra damage or you just won't get as many shots.
Right.
Afon's going into Ridley again. Hopefully he does better this time.
Asdor taking down Dragon.
I believe that's Asdor's last boss before now he gets to move on to Torian.
Andrew coming up on Dragon as well.
Andrew opts to take out the turrets, even though he has Screw Attack. I guess it just makes them easier. I guess another place to feature the reappearing and disappearing Evos that spell out Kaiko Love, which was the recently found Easter egg from one of the developers. He spelled out the name of like the person he was dating at the time in the Evos. Just like one night, he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna add in this Easter egg."
Huh.
For some reason, they reappear and disappear in this hack. I have no idea why. Dragon works fine though. Fawn seems to be having a much better time, potentially. Like Ridley's already changing colors, and now only now is he putting all of his supers in, and he still has half of his health left.
Yeah, it looks like he's doing much better with that Ridley fight.
B's also getting into Ridley.
Andrew got grabbed by Dragon. That's unfortunate.
Typically, with the way Dragon's gunk works, is you have to input a direction. I think it's like 40 times before he'll let you go. Ooh, Saffron dies to Ridley again.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Yeah, I think he's gonna fall behind Dopey. I guess Dopey's item collection was gonna pay off because he has 3 more energy tanks than Saffron does,
And some extra ammo. Andrew finishing off Dragon. Going to go pick up that E-tank and start heading towards terrain.
Asda has his full 6 energy tanks, but that means that if he takes more than 1 energy tank of damage during the Mother Brain fight, he has to reset, because otherwise the first round of the Hyper Beam will kill him.
Yes.
There's a required instance of Speed Booster, and Gravity Suit to break through that Mushroom Stem. Just making its way through the strange underwater criteria. I don't think that area really fits with that water palette. but making his way to the statue room. And Asda gets a break. Maybe he'll join us in chat again.
No. Oh, you mean stream chat?
Yeah, the stream chat. Because he said a few things earlier.
Yeah.
But it looks like he's just kind of running around. I mean, it's one of kind of like a bathroom break phase, like when the statue in Vanilla's, the bowling statue is taking you to where gravity suit is. It's kind of just a nothing time where you're just sitting there and waiting. He looks like he's almost done with Ridley, although he's taking considerable damage as well.
He still has missiles he can use too, and if I remember right, missiles do double damage to Ridley.
I think supers do at least.
So as you saw there, Ridley was going towards the center of the room, constantly trying to grab Dopey. That's the sure sign that he is at the right amount of health to just get grabbed by him.
I has corrected us in chat that only super missiles deal double damage to Ridley. But missiles can still be useful because you can fire them quickly. When he's doing his pogo phase, if you're in a safe area, you can spam missiles at him if you're out of super missiles, and that might be effective unless you have plasma beam.
Right.
Back on Gold Turizo again, he's falling really far behind with all those deaths.
Yeah, they really do add up. And they really do start killing your time.
There's Abster's just killing it through Torian.
Oh yeah. But dying is a great example of why you should safety save, especially on the longer hacks.
Unless you're absolutely confident in your ability to play through the hack well, and you're going for the absolute fastest time in which saving would cost too much time, and you're going for the world record or something.
That is true, but even still, sometimes it's probably a good idea to safety save at least once or twice throughout the hack later on. But if you are going for world record, if you die, that usually just means a reset and starting over.
Now here, Asda's going to attempt baby skip, which saves a considerable amount of time.
And energy.
Yeah. Well, there's the refill, which saves more time, and he does get baby skip.
That's not easy to do.
It is not. I've never done it, but apparently it's required in Super Zero mission to do baby skip. Because the baby will just kill you otherwise. It'll not stop at 1 HP.
No.
At least that's what I've heard.
Ooh, that was a nice grouping of the Metroids there. And I believe he's now on to Mother Brain. Yep. Ooh, nice. He got the Zeb skip. That I actually haven't seen that variant of the Zebutite skip done before.
Rather interesting, because it's a lot faster, but I guess you have to be able to have enough space to charge up Speed Booster.
And you have to know how to do it. For those who don't know, Zebutite skip is where you glitch through the first Zebutite in Mother Brain's room, and the rest of the Zebutites are actually gone from the rest of the room when you do this. So it's a huge time save, and it saves a lot of ammo.
Ammo is probably the more important part, because especially with any percent and low percent, you can't refill your super missiles. You can only refill your missiles in Torian, especially since you get trapped after baby. So you want to save as much ammo as possible, because there's a required amount of ammo to destroy in Mother Brain Phase 1. Otherwise you're perma-stuck.
Which I believe is a minimum of 30 normal missiles.
In low percent, this is done with a combination of either 1 missile tank and 3 super missile tanks, or 2 missile tanks and 2 super missile tanks.
Andrew catching up slightly, or on his way to Mother Brain as well, going for that baby skip as well, and didn't succeed.
Ooh.
That's unfortunate.
At least the baby is draining his health very quickly. Asda's maintaining almost full health, so he can survive the beam from Mother Brain. On low health again from Ridley.
A decent way to get through baby quickly, if you don't know how to do baby skip, is to jump into the side hopper, and while you're somersaulting with screw attack, you input a direct you hit up on the D-pad, or you press L or R. This will take you out of your screw attack, and every time you go into screw attack, it resets your invincibility frames. This can allow you to very quickly drop your health, so that baby
finally beats Ridley. He's making his way to an energy tank, which will make it a lot safer for him.
Don't be fighting Fantoon.
Asda is making his way to Mother Brain 3. He's almost wrapped it up.
And pretty soon we'll be doing our first interview.
I'm trying to imagine what the interview with Saffron's going to be. He's probably going to be really mad from dying to Ridley twice. But there's always next week. Yeah, there's next week. So
if you don't like the time you get on your first run, you can always do the second week and try to get a better run.
Andrew succeeds in the Zebetite skip.
And right now, Azur just has to wait for Mother Brain to finish off the baby Metroid.
Andrew makes it through Mother Brain 1, and Azur's finally able to start Mother Brain 3 with a Hyper Beam. And Polar Bear Bunny is letting us know that Saffron is in good spirits.
That's good,
I suppose. Yeah. So he isn't discouraged by falling so far behind. That's good. I guess he tends to be a pretty optimistic person. He somehow puts up with playing all these terrible hacks.
Yeah, I guess after playing through a bunch of them, it gets harder to upset someone like that.
I guess it's kind of like building up an immunity.
What was that?
I guess it's like building up an immunity to like terrible things that hacks could do to you.
Yeah. There's one of the diagonal sparks for the escape.
Very significant time save, that diagonal spark, because you saw how big that room was. You could try to wall jump up a bit, but you might accidentally hit a pirate like while you're getting out of the screw attack.
Yes, there is like there's 1 or 2 frames of animation where when you wall jump off of a wall, Samus goes out of the somersault animation and is vulnerable even with screw attack. Another diagonal spark.
Very significant time save. He's gone through less than a minute of in-game time and he's already almost out. The full escape gives 4 minutes, but you don't really need that much of it.
And we have our first finish. Congratulations, Azur.
Alright.
His completion time, real time, was 56:47. Not bad. So we'll be dragging him in here soon for interview.
It's only 2 minutes behind his world record, and I think all of that just chopped down to making up, losing so much time on that green gate glitch. And that was a really solid run.
Alright, as Saffron starts fighting Fantoon and Andrew about to go through the escape, I'm going to bring in Azur and we'll start the interview. Hello, Azur. Congratulations on finishing your run.
Like he
appears to be muted.
Oh, there it goes.
Hello.
Hello.
So, welcome to the interview. So, that very good run on your part. Had a couple hiccups with that green gate. So, you have any questions for him, nerd?
I guess how do you feel after the run?
Okay. We'll let Jeffy handle the interview moving. Well, Astor might have a connection issue.
His stream died, so I guess you can see that on the screen. Maybe it'll be replaced with the... Because I think there's a screen that they put on when the run is finished, so you don't see there was a network error.
Yeah, there's a completion screen. For now, I'll move Astor back over to Olymp. I'll leave him in here in case he comes back.
Ooh, Andrew messes up the diagonal spark, so you'll see how much slower it is having to do all the wall jumping, and if you mess up one of the wall jumps, you lose some of your height. And you still have to worry about the space pirates. Oh, there's the finish screen. You see how much more time that took than when Asdo was able to do the diagonal spark. Able to get the second diagonal shine spark, so at least you can save time there. The chaotic room with all the random platforms and the rising acid and all the pirates.
Yeah. Oh, all right, there goes Astor. Meanwhile, Jiffy going into Dragon.
In Dopey?
Yeah. Who did I say?
Jiffy.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Jiffy's in the chat, and he's also one of the moderators of the whole Olympics thing. So he's doing a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff, like he helped set up the restream. So, and we're doing like various Discord interactions. So that's why he's on our mind also. But
yeah, thanks, Jiffy.
Dopey is fighting. Yeah, thank you. Dopey is fighting Dragon right now.
Yes.
And
it looks like he got
the extra ammo should help.
Yeah. Andrew just finished up. Congratulations. He finished with a time of 107.
Yeah,
hey, Andrew, how's it going?
You know, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. You pulled ahead of Astor for a little bit there, but then he caught up pretty quickly.
That's what I was expecting. The man is very good, put a lot of time in. I just wanted to not die, and that's what I got. So look at
that. You successfully didn't die. You just wait. I don't think you even had a reset because you got the green gate glitch on your first go through.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, on his first super.
Great. No resets or anything.
Nice.
I'm pretty annoyed about that. Both of those failed sparks, or all three of those failed sparks in the escape.
Yeah, we
sub one.
That looked rough.
Yeah. But that was fun. I can't wait to do it again sometime later this month. I don't know when it is.
I think it's next week. For those, let's see. I don't have the other one up. Here it is. Those who want to watch the second run of the week, we will have different runners. Some of them might be trying again, some of them might not. You will see some new faces and different commentators if you don't like our commentary. The second race will be on Saturday, the 21st of March at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, like 3 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Jiffy can probably correct me on that because he's British, so he lives in GMT.
So, besides those shine sparks, what do you think you could have done better for the run?
I'd probably spend more than like 3 hours practicing, maybe like 4 or 5. That would have been good, you know?
Sounds about right.
Yes, that if I spend more time, I do better. That's the way it goes.
Well, thank you for joining us for the interview, and congratulations on your run.
Thank you for the interview, and thanks for the commentary. I'll watch it back.
No problem.
See ya.
See ya. Alright, and with that, we'll watch our other two runners run through the rest of the game.
Looks like Dopey finished with Dragon, and then Saffron's making its way.
One's leaving, one's entering. Looks like Astor still hasn't returned, so we might not get to interview him.
It is possible. He might return. Because we will probably be here for like 15 minutes. And now I guess we can pay more attention to the 2 runs that are left instead of having to split our attention between all 4.
Right.
So Saffron's just entering, also opting to deal with the turrets. I guess Asder's the main one who's gutsy enough to do it without the turrets.
Yeah, and it looks like he missed with one of the super shots. That's going to cause some damage.
Damage on Dragon, and possibly damage on him if the fight goes on for too long, but hopefully he won't take too much damage. Because he
Right.
can't afford to die a few more times. That would not be good.
Yeah.
Screw attack is coming in handy with being able to screw attack through Dragon. He's still making his way through Meridia. Making his way back out into Criteria to go into Torian. He's going back the same way that they Green Gate glitched all of them to get into Meridia to get through to Brimstone in the first place. So now he's back in Criteria.
Saffron getting through Dragon pretty quickly. Almost done here.
He's doing significantly better against Dragon, especially the screw attack is helping a lot because he can fire and then just jump through Dragon without having to worry about taking damage. As long as
And Dragon's down.
Nice. No deaths. Dopey's safety saving before Torian, which costs about 15 seconds, but it fully refills all of his health and all of his ammo.
Oh, I think he's not. I'm pretty sure he's not hurting on health, anyways.
I guess the ammo and the save is still good.
Oh yeah.
Super missiles are very valuable when it comes to dealing with Metroids because you can only defeat them with ammo.
Right. Yeah, you can either freeze them and use supers, or you can do the much longer way of doing it and kill them with power bombs.
Yeah.
Those
It's
are the only
much
things
easier
that
to kill them with power bombs in Metroid Prime, but but when it comes to the 2D games, the ammo freezing and missiles is always faster.
Right.
Especially with supers, like some of the vanilla speedruns, they just breeze through Torian, that they can just keep running, fire, immediately switch to super missiles, and then switch back and pick up the collection while not stopping at all. And it's really cool to watch. Some of that in his run through Torian, where you can just kind of non-stop be fighting all of the Metroids at once. He's waiting for the statue.
Saffron making his way over to Turian as well.
He's almost back in Criteria too. Dopey, but he's still making a pretty decent amount of time.
For sure.
Just those deaths are mostly what set him back. So
Oh,
we
yeah.
very well may see a much lower in-game time for Saffron compared to Dopey, but his real time will be significantly longer because of those deaths.
And he's
Also,
opting He's opting to not take the refill.
I agree, Polar Bear Bunny, that Saffron did do really well against Dragon. That was a good fight.
Yeah, that was a very clean fight too.
Take that much damage. Went through it decently quickly. So that's good. It's a really that's at the beginning of Torian, where you have to shine spark into the capsules to free the Metroids. Stream is buffering for me, so
Yeah, I'm noticing a little bit of hiccups on the Discord stream too.
that's why you're slightly ahead of me, because you're watching the Discord stream.
Yeah.
Okay. Saffron is making his way to the statue room.
And Dopey making quick work of those Metroids. Falling back on his other speedrun techniques of the original Super Metroid.
Puts are very effective with the Metroids. It's typically super missiles do 3 times as much damage as missiles, but the general perception, at least from what I've seen, of people who aren't as technical about Metroid stuff, is that they think super missiles deal 5 times as much damage as missiles, and it's mostly because super missiles will destroy a 5 missile door in one shot, and that Metroids will die in one hit to super missiles. even though they only do 3 times as much damage as missiles. It's I guess it's partially because different enemies have different vulnerabilities you can change in Smile.
Right.
That
As you just
makes
saw,
people feel more.
Dopey was doing the trick I mentioned earlier where you basically use screw attack to reset your invincibility frames. To be able to take more damage that Metroid will suck down your energy a lot faster.
We didn't even try to go for baby skip.
I mean, if you don't know how to do it, I feel like it would use up more time to try to do baby skip than to not do.
Because the horizontal movement through that room is rather slow when you're doing baby skip, and so it makes it only worthwhile if you actually get baby skip.
Right.
Afon's starting his way through Torian with the weird Metroid capsule room. I still don't understand this room. It's kind of neat, but it's also weird.
Trying to group up those Metroids helps a lot, because then you can just get rid of them in quick succession.
And save ammo if you can get them close enough that you can kill them both with the same super. Vanilla speedrun does
for a
that.
safety save.
Ooh. The last room of the Vanilla Torian, you can group up all of the Metroids together by rolling past them and kill them with one super missile. I don't think there are situations like that in this hack. Either way, trying to group up the Metroid is good. Dopey is going for the regular Zebetite skip. You can tell because he's turning off the screw attack, which is typically necessary for the regular Zebetite skip, where you just take the damage and then you can eventually just kind of clip through the Zebetite skip, or clip through the Zebetite instead of shine sparking underneath it.
You want to use that Rinka that he froze beneath it, and you want to freeze it just as it spawns, so like make sure it doesn't move, and then you're basically clipping through the Rinka to get through the Zebetite.
And Dopey's starting on Mother Brain 2.
Saffron close behind.
Baby skip, but at least the baby cutscene isn't taking very long because he didn't have much health, but the refill still takes a while, I suppose. Well, Jiffy, I think if you can skip the Zebetite skip, that could mean one of two things. You're either skipping the need to do Zebetite skip, like you could just teleport from like the beginning of Torian to right in front of Mother Brain, or you skip doing Zebetite skip and just bite the bullet and beat the Zebetites. I guess those are the ways you could interpret it. Not sure fully though. I don't know. It's just I get mixed up with words. I is saying that Bethers may have forfeited the race. She is one of the other runners who is not on the restream. However, she was doing some practice earlier today, but Tri said that she might have forfeit this round, so she might try again next week. But until then, she will only have the 5 points that you get for starting the race, which is why even if you don't think you'll do well on the race, like if it's a game that you don't think you're very good at, because some of the events for the Olympics are like Rogue Dawn, which is a hack of Nestroid, is that even if you're not good at that game, you at least show up and try to finish so you can get those points, even if you won't have a very good time.
That's another nice thing is that at least if you at least finish the game, and you'll at least get 10 points. So
that's pretty considerable, especially if not everyone is the best. Like you'll do better than the people who didn't finish. At least you'll get twice as many points as them. Jiffy, I think, put up the link to the score sheet, and you can use that. He'll be updating it throughout this time period with people's times and people's scores. And you can also see the results from last month's event, which was Metroid Spooky Mission, which was a 0 mission hack.
Ooh, looks like Jiffy's doing I forget stand-up glitch. It's one of my favorite things to do. He wants to be very careful when the Metroid lets go Mother Brain, because if he is on the ground, he will get perma-stuck. Or no, he won't get perma-stuck. He'll just get sucked into Mother Brain and just die.
Oh, I thought it's if you touch the ground, you get stuck in your crouching animation again, and you just lose. You lose the skip, or you lose the stand up.
It's been a hot minute since I've done the stand-up glitch, but basic premise is it allows you to stand up while the Metroid is giving you the energy, and allows you to do some extra damage to Mother Brain before getting Hyper Beam.
It's essentially just speeds up Mother Brain 3.
Right.
If you have the Plasma Beam and you're really, really fast and really effective with your shots, then you can end Mother Brain 3 before it even starts. Also, you have to be careful about when you fire, because I believe if you fire like the frame that you get the Hyper Beam, the game will mess up.
Right.
And
yeah,
you even saw
it'll crash.
Dopey's graphics were getting messed up because you're not supposed to be able to move when the cutscene first start. When those cutscene parts happen, you're supposed to be trapped on the ground with Sam's like her arm around her leg, like breathing heavily, almost dead.
Right.
That whole thing.
If you're not careful with that too, and you jump into the upper right corner of the room, the baby Metroid can get stuck. As you saw, like a couple of times, the baby Metroid kind of hung around for a hot second. But once it's up in that corner, Mother Brain can't hit it, so the Metroid will not die, and you will never get Hyper Beam. And it is impossible to kill Mother Brain without Hyper Beam.
Yeah. It's not that you have to use the Hyper Beam to kill her. It's that you have to have the Hyper Beam before the death animation can start. Because you can deal enough damage with stand-up to get her health to 0, but she won't die until you get the Hyper Beam, and then if she's at 0 health, she'll just immediately die. But you have to have the Hyper Beam, otherwise she won't die.
Right. Plus, you needed to get through the room afterwards to get through those gates.
Not necessarily. You can destroy those gates with any beam. They're a separate enemy that just explode when you use any beam on it.
I didn't know that.
But Dopey does not attempt the Shine Spark, or he might have attempted but failed the Shine Spark to get through the tall vertical shaft really quickly, and that cost him a pretty considerable amount of time, especially since he didn't really wall jump up the wall. He just kind of went up normally.
He missed the Shine Spark at first for going up the last room, but he recovers. Saffron's catching up slightly. He's just got his Hyper Beam.
Looks like there'll be enough of a gap between them we can do separate interviews.
Yeah.
He's almost done.
Actually, it looks like he is done. His stream is a bit behind. He finished with a time of 1:16:24. Congratulations, Dopey.
1:16:24. That puts him in 5th place for speedrunning. Yeah,
No,
he's currently in 6th. But that would push him into 5th place. He would beat Metroid MST Shy Guy Express with that time.
But right now, and for this race, he finished with 3rd place.
Yes. Of the people who are restreaming, or is that of everyone?
That's of everyone.
Oh, okay.
He'll be joining us in here soon. Saffron making his way through Escape, not doing the Shine Spark either.
He tried it, but he messed up, I guess. He also was chatting on the Discord. He said, "Excellent commentary, guys. Gonna attempt quick kill, but he won't get it." I don't know exactly what he's talking about, but it seems Dopey has been moved to an interview position.
Oh.
Hey, Dopey.
Hello.
You've had a very unorthodox run. A couple different side tangents there.
Well, I took the detour to Crocomire to get to the 2 extra E-tanks because I was not confident in Lord Norfair.
Seemed to have paid off, because Saffron didn't take any extra E-tanks, and he died multiple times to Ridley, so it paid off.
Yeah. No, it did. I think everything went pretty smoothly. Obviously, I could cut out that detour and save a few minutes, but I figured it would be faster to do the same basic boss route with that detour than to mix things up.
Hold on.
Backtrack
Is
all over the
Saffron
place.
is Saffron really saving?
He's saving the
He's-
animals.
Might as well.
I
He's
guess.
probably, yeah.
But
He's probably gonna run next week.
this was a 4-minute PB for me, beating my time in the last race we did in this for MetConst several years ago.
Nice.
And it also beats MST's time by 9 seconds on the SRC leaderboard, so he can be salty about that.
So that was actually pretty not bad run. Not as long as I thought it was gonna be, thankfully. So
Fun just
I was about to ask what do you think you could do better, but you already explained that.
Yeah, I also had a pretty bad boss fight against Dragon and Kraid.
Yeah.
But I didn't die, so that's the important part.
Oh yeah.
Those deaths set you back a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Poor Saffron. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Dopey. Congratulations on finishing in third.
Thank you.
Saffron's
I'll go
just
polish
oh.
my bronze trophy now.
Saffron has just finished with a time of 1:18:58. Not too bad. And he shall also be joining us soon.
I'll put him in 6th place. No, 7th. No.
What?
I'm looking at the leaderboard right now, and I'm trying to figure out because
Oh.
Dopey would be in a different position after this one.
Yeah.
I would put him in 7th.
Bye, Dopey. All right. Next up is Saffron.
Will be joining us shortly.
Overall, this was a pretty clean run, aside from a couple deaths here and there.
Yeah, that was mostly what hurt Saffron, but all the other runners had pretty smooth runs. Dopey took the extra detours, but it paid off for him, and he still went through that part relatively quickly, I guess.
Yeah. It does look like, however, the only ones who have finished so far are the ones we have been restreaming.
I guess MST's not done. Betha is apparently forfeited.
Right.
I don't know who else. Oh yeah, Pikmin is running. The Great Pikmin ZX789. I don't know how his run is doing.
But for now, the stream will only really cover those who we've restreamed. So don't forget to go and check out the other runners on their channels. Oh, okay. We'll be keeping the commentary going till MST and Pikmin have finished.
Righty then. And
That's gonna be
but
difficult.
they're not going to move their streams. Yeah. I mean, I guess we could pull up their streams on a separate. Like, I can go to MST's stream right now and watch what he's doing.
We'll be fine.
Okay. He's fighting Mother Brain. He's doing stand-up glitch right now.
All right, so it shouldn't take too long. Jiffy, would you mind moving Saffron over so we can do the interview?
Looks like he and MST are talking something. According to the green circles.
All right. With that, we're gonna try to keep the commentary going.